Good evening, my name is Dara Hancock, and tonight my demonstration speech is going to be on making Nestle Toll House cookies. Nestle Toll House cookies were originated in 1930 by a lady by the name of Ruth Wakefield. She and her husband had owned a toll house inn, and ultimately what a toll house was a destination spot in the 1800s where you had to stop and pay toll to cross from one destination to the other. She was making cookies for her guests, as she had done 1,000 times, and realized she had ran out of an ingredient. She decided that she should cut up a chocolate bar and throw them in the cookies because she didn't have the dates that she'd wanted to place in there. Ultimately, the cookie turned out, or the bar that she cut up, was a Nestle bar. Everybody ranted and raved about it. It was the latest and greatest thing. It even placed the recipe in a newspaper. And so Nestle caught wind of it. She met with Nestle. They asked if she could have the recipe. They asked if she would give them the recipe. They did. They then placed the recipe on the bag, which was Nestle Toll House cookies. Unfortunately, in the 1980s, Nestle lost the rights to the word Toll House, and their cookies then became known as just Nestle cookies. So, I'm going to begin by taking a cup of Crisco. We place that into the bowl, and I blend that with 3/4 cup of brown sugar and 3/4 cup of white sugar. And we will blend that for about 30 seconds, just until the consistency of the three become one. And this, you have to make sure that your consistency is just right. You want to make sure that the sugars are all blended with the shortening. And another thing that I like to do is, after I've blended it, I take the scraper and I scrape the sides, because in an electric mixer, the shortening has a tendency to separate just a bit. So you take that, and then you add your eggs, and I like my eggs to be at room temperature. The benefit of having eggs at room temperature is that your cookies will be moist on the inside and a little bit crispier on the outside. So I'll add my 2 eggs, making sure that we get no shells inside. And we will blend that until it looks almost frothy. The longer that you beat your eggs, the higher your eggs or your cookies will be. The lighter, the more airy. Now, people who like a thinner cookie should just blend this for just until the consistency is just blended. I like to blend it till it's almost a bit frothy, so it's almost airy. And that ensures my cookies are a bit higher, more airy. We'll stop that. And again, I will scrape just to ensure that everything got in there. All right. Okay. Then after that, we will add 2 1/4 cup of all-purpose flour. Now make sure that you do get, when you purchase your flour, it's an all-purpose flour, not just standard flour. All-purpose flour has the rising ingredients that standard flour will not have. You will also add, with your dry ingredients, the 1 teaspoon of baking soda and 1 teaspoon of salt. Now you can adjust your salt, which will not affect the taste of the cookies if you're concerned about the sodium level. And you will blend that, making sure that you do not turn your mixer too high, because your flour will have a tendency to fly out, which has happened to me on numerous times. And again, you only need to blend this until all the ingredients are one. Now comes the best part, which is the Nestle chips. And I like Nestle, honestly, better than any other chips because the way they melt. So we'll take off our paddle, which is what this blending contraption is called. I'll remove as much dough as I can. I do not use the paddle to blend my chocolate chips. And the reason I don't is because the paddle has a tendency to crack the chips. I usually just blend it, and making sure at this time too that you've gotten all the flour down into the bowl. You'll add then your chocolate chips. And just blend those by hand, just folding in the chips. Another interesting fact, who knows what country eats the most, consumes the most chocolate? What are your guesses? Anybody? Germany? No, it's not Germany. Yep.
Switzerland?
Switzerland is the correct answer. Why is it Swiss, do you think?
Swiss chocolate.
Swiss chocolate, that's correct. They consume probably 23 pounds of chocolate per person per year. United States, any guess on how much we do on that? How much?
10.
10. We actually, Americans eat 11 pounds of chocolate per person per year. Except probably on Valentine's Day where we consume a tad bit more. Annually, the United States spends about Americans spend about $13 million a year on chocolate, which only results into about 3 billion pounds of chocolate. So we will then take this dough and we will place it. I usually do just 3 across and 4 down to make sure that you do not crowd the cookies. And if I'm lucky enough to get all my dough onto the tray, my kids like to eat the dough before I ever even make it to the oven. So we do 3 across, 4 down, which is 12 cookies per cookie sheet. And then, once we've done that, you can store your dough in the refrigerator while you are waiting for it to bake. I don't, but I know a lot of cooks do. So we're going to bake this at 350 for about 10 to 12 minutes, depending on your oven. Make sure that you adjust your oven. A lot of ovens are too hot or too cool. So you can check the temperature of your oven by sticking a thermometer in it and making sure that the temperature is accurate. So we'll place the cookies. This is what they'll look like on your cookie sheet. That's about 12 cookies. And for time purposes, I have already got a little batch cooking. So we will take those out. And the magic of television, we already have these cookies done. Now I place these on a cookie cooling sheet instead, and I try to remove those as quickly as possible so my cookies do not continue to bake on the cookie sheet. And once we've removed those and kept them away from your dog, which we have, he's a golden doodle, so he likes to hop up and eat the cookies. And this are the Nestle Toll House cookies, which, by the way, are America's #1 cookies, which I did not know beat out Oreos. So that is how you make Nestle Toll House cookies. Enjoy and have a good night. Thank you.